What's going on, everybody? It's the Rear Naked Recap, UFC Vegas 46, the first UFC event of 2022, and agreed. Yeah, I should have hedged out in that main event. Decided to let it ride. All the same, we were 6-3 going into the main event, 10-fight card, ended up going 6-4 overall. So not a great result for 2022. Prop sides of things, okay. Parlay side of things, almost hit the top 2 tickets. Could have hedged out again. Greed was kind of the theme for me on a personal level, but yeah, not a terrible result for the first event. Things went right. Things did go wrong. Hopefully we can improve on it next time around. Starting at the bottom, we got TJ Brown versus Charles Rosa. I should have gone higher on TJ Brown. Yes, high insight thing for sure. But I don't like Charles Rosa. I mean, we just recently nominated him as the most fadeable guy in the UFC roster on the 2021 end of review show. He's just fadeable. Why is he so fadeable? Because he can't wrestle. If you're fighting in the UFC, you're fighting in MMA, you're fighting at a high level, you need to be able to wrestle. And in Charles Rosa's case, his striking's okay, his jiu-jitsu's okay, but he can never play it to his favorable hand, because if he wants to strike, he's getting taken down. If he wants to grapple, preferably wants to be on top, doesn't matter because he's continuously getting taken down. So I think the reason I didn't end up going so high on him was people got in my ear, and not blaming on Paul in the slightest bit, but I think with Charles Rosa, he has rotated a lot of wins and losses. He's never lost 2 straight. He recently just signed a new contract with the UFC. Maybe there's a sense that if this fight went to some deeper waters, TJ Brown would tire, but again, man, it's that takedown defense. So first round, I thought Brown fought a terrible game plan. It was making me feel like, you know what? I'm glad I didn't load up on him. Maybe I made the right choice here. But the first round, I thought he was just standing right in front of Charles Rosa and striking a lot. Now, if you watch his fight a couple fights ago, he's not great on defending leg kicks. I mean, he just gets chopped up routinely. You know, and all of a sudden he's not mobile. He's not moving quite as well. He starts to get tired. It becomes a problem. You did see it in the Danny Chavez fight. By the time he wanted to wrestle, his lead leg was already chewed up. This fight was initially supposed to be against Gabriel Benitez. Had he fought that kind of game plan against Benitez, probably not would have gone well. Against Charles Rosa, he just stood kind of right in front of him. So if you watch the first 3 minutes of the first round, Charles Rosa's beating him because of the leg kicks. He buckles his leg at like the 90-second mark. I mean, he's hurting him routinely. I don't know why it's taking Brown so long to get to his wrestling, but finally at the end of the first, you know, he charges forward, he lands some decent punches, he lands a takedown perfect. Second round, he knows now go to the well with the takedowns, and so he just gets right back to the takedowns. Now, his top game's not great. Like, once he would get the fights to the ground, there wasn't a whole lot out of him. He wasn't a whole lot of ground and pound. He wasn't really looking to improve position. He would try to set up the arm triangle, and a couple of them did look pretty tight, but Charles Rosa has never been submitted. And we have seen him in some very tight arm triangles in specific. It just doesn't matter. He's got solid not takedown defense, solid submission defense. So he's able to just kind of throw it off the attack. Then he would hit a switch. He'd hit a reversal. He'd hit a sweep. He'd get on top briefly, but he would just kind of pull guard on these submission attempts, try to fish for a neck, and it would allow Brown to just end up back on top. Second round, a lot more clear for Brown. Third round, rinse and repeat. Just go to the wrestling, take them down. But you do see Brown is very tired in that third round, and it allows, you know, some moments for Rosa. He gets a takedown. He ends up on top for a little bit. Probably his best round of the 3, but takedown defense seriously hurt him, seriously harmed him in this fight, as it is in most of his fights. And Brown is the victor. So Brown kind of fought like he would have been not a top ticket guy, but he could have probably been on the second or third ticket. I'd put him on the 4th ticket. My big screw up here is I should have replaced him with Brahimaj, who we'll talk about in a little bit. But I mean, good game plan for Brown, just limited. Like, I don't know if he'll be able to pull that off versus more credible opponents. And for Charles Rosa, I mean, this is it. We know how to beat him. If anybody even has a modicum of, and it's just become a large problem for him. He's 35 years old. He's had bad neck surgeries. Honestly, like, I kind of feel like he's near the end of his road, but he just signed a new contract. So, you know, what do I know? And in terms for Brown, yeah, Brown moves forward. He needed a win. He was coming off kind of, I wouldn't say a robbery, but like could have been a robbery against Kai Kamaka, and had lost his previous 2 before that. When you come to the UFC, you sign a 4-fight deal, right? So this is the last fight on his contract. You need to go and have a win and have a decent showing, and he did both of those things. So solid victory for TJ Brown. And yeah, we started off the new year at 1-0. Brian Kelleher versus Kevin Kroom. Funny how things work out, right? So Brian Kelleher is supposed to take on Karamanov and don't want any piece of him. Paul and I talked about on the previous show, Karamanov is a bigger guy, probably had just as deep of as a gas tank, had probably a slight wrestling advantage, and would just kind of box him up standing, have some better success. Karamanov was our not pick of the week, but he was the pick that we were going with this week's preview show. Literally probably 2 hours after we filmed the preview show, Karamanov's off, and they bring in Kevin Kroom. And right away, they announce Kevin Kroom. I'm thinking the line's going to be the most physical guy. Kroom never even got a whiff of a takedown. Like, he looked lost in there. And his striking's not very good. His wrestling's not very good. Takedown defense is not very good. He does have some decent cardio, can push some decent pace. But outside of that, he just doesn't got enough going for him. Keller's getting a little bit of fun. And he's not the kind of guy that you want to trust, ticket guy. But this is a style clash that favors him because he has the advantage everywhere. So first round, I'm expecting a walk in the park for Brian Kelleher. And it kind of starts off like that. Like, he clips him, 90 seconds in, drops Kevin Kroom, pounces on him. Doesn't come close to a finish, but, definitely lands some good work. And now it's, okay, this first round's going to be his. But after that knockdown, 90 seconds into the first round, he does nothing. He got outworked by Kevin Kroom for the remainder of the first round. So for me, this is a difficult round to score because on one hand, he did get the early knockdown. It was the most significant thing that happened. On the other side of things, he got outstruck like 24-10 in the first. He allowed the volume to escape from. And if this is going to happen again in the second and third round, we're going to be in some trouble. But again, similar to our first fight with TJ Brown, once TJ Brown got a whiff of that first takedown and realized, like, oh, I'm fine. I'm fine hanging out on top of him. You just go back to the same game plan. Kelleher started to find his range a little bit in the second round, but it was his ability to just go to the takedowns, take him down, work him on top, land some decent ground and pound. And if this kid tries to get back up, just ground him again. Kevin Kroom wasn't physical enough. Now in the third round, Kevin Kroom's tired. He has a decent gas tank, but he was tired. And Kelleher, meanwhile, known to have a deep gas tank of his own, he looked fresh. He looked confident. And all of a sudden, he was able to find his distance way better because Kroom's tall. First couple of rounds, he kind of struggled finding his distance. Third round, this guy's not moving as much. He's a lot slower. And he's just all full of confidence at this point. Kelleher does exactly what he needs to do. Third round, his best round. He was just picking up like a steam engine. All good there. But not a great first round. So I think when you top ticket a guy, you just want this to be an easy walk in the park. And it was a little greasy through the first two. But Brian Kelleher proved to be the superior guy. So solid victory for Kelleher. He's kind of a gatekeeper. I'm sure they'll try to rebook a Karamanov-type fight because these young kids will learn a lot from going in there and getting rounds with a very savvy veteran. And he could win a fight like that. But he's not elite by any means. But a guy that you can rely on if you get a favorable style clash. And that's what we got here. For Kevin Kroom, super limited. Strong argument, should have never been in the UFC to begin with. But pulled off that upset victory over Roosevelt Roberts in his debut. It ended up being a no contest, but outside of that, he's looked lost and out of place. And started out good here, had a decent first round. Kid took the fight on a day's notice. Like, I can't cut him down not a day's notice, 3 days notice. Can't cut him down too much, but he looked out of place. So we'll see. I'm sure they'll give him another one. We'll see if he can rebound from that. Court McGee versus Ramiz Brahimaj. This is my first apple pie shit of the new year. And this is also, I'm not chalking up to bad luck. Bad call on my part. Again, you can never blame anybody but yourself. But I didn't like Brahimaj when he came to the UFC. He fought Max Payne Griffin. He looked largely out of place and had his ear busted off. Second fight, I tried to fade him based on largely on the same thing. He's fighting Sasha Plotnikov, but I don't really like this guy. And I took a lot of flack from people that were like, you are so wrong on this one. This kid's got legitimate BJJ. Wrestling's pretty okay. Trains out of Fortis MMA, getting better and better and better. Still young. He's going to buzzsaw right through Sasha Plotnikov. And he did exactly that. So, okay, ate a little bit of crow there. Apparently this kid's all right. And I think that being in my mind kind of caused me to go maybe a little too high on him over Court McGee. Because as Paul and I spoke about on the show, Court McGee has never been submitted. I think he's been knocked out like one time by Santiago Ponzinibbio. So like no big deal, but he's known for cast iron durability. The man died of a drug overdose, resuscitated, came back to life, and went on to have a prosperous MMA career. Won the Ultimate Fighter. So Court McGee is just known for that toughness and that durability, and he has good cardio. You knew that he'd be likely good to go for 3 full rounds. Whereas we knew, because we discussed it, Brahimaj has, 8 first-round submission victories? He is a guy that has his way early, or he's going to fall apart a little bit. And against Sasha Plotnikov, he buzzsawed right through. Against Court McGee, not likely to be the case. All that aside, he never looked in this fight right from the get-go. Like, fight starts, his striking's not as good as Court McGee's, his wrestling's not as good as Court McGee's, and even on the ground. Like, he had a couple favorable positions. He almost took Court McGee's back, He ended up on top on a few occasions, but wasn't able to hold him down. Nothing of substance. His own offensive wrestling, not even a whiff of trying to take down Court for the most part. His striking, he was faster than Court McGee. He had the faster hands, but you saw it was a lot of wasted movement. Like Court, for as unathletic and slow as he is at this point, he doesn't waste any energy. He doesn't waste any space. He doesn't waste any time. He knows exactly what he's doing, and that's a sign of a savvy veteran. But this to me on a personal level, it felt very similar, less stakes. It felt similar to watching Bilal Muhammad versus Wonderboy Thompson. Like, yeah, maybe if some space was created, this guy could make something happen. But Court, similar style, just drowned him. Just like Bilal Muhammad. There was no space to work with. His chest to chest the whole time. He took him down whenever he wanted. Solid work from Court McGee. This is a solid win for Court McGee because, again, at this stage of his career, you're getting a little bit older. You got the miles to go out there and beat a young kid, a young prospect. That does world to the confidence. I can still compete at this level. I can still compete with these guys. Similar to Brian Kelleher, journeyman, not making a run anytime soon. Why didn't he fight Carlos Condit with this exact same game plan? Couldn't tell you. But he's going to be able to expose these guys that are frauds. And I'm sorry, but I know now for sure Ramiz Brahimaj is a fraud. He just hasn't got it. Like, what's his game based on? Striking, not that good. Wrestling, not good. Takedown defense, well, we know it's not good, but his offensive wrestling just not good enough to get the fight to the ground where he can use his best weapon, his jiu-jitsu. And when you're fighting at an elite level in the UFC, your jiu-jitsu's got to be something special. Everybody's a BJJ black belt. What makes you a good BJJ black belt? What makes you a competition guy? Do you have some trick in your back pocket? Because he just didn't have it. So stick him back into fighting the Sasha Plotnikovs of the world. Try to build him back up. But like a savvy veteran like Court McGee was way too much. He never once was in this fight. Never once had a moment against Court McGee. So solid victory for Court. Unfortunately, blew up a couple tickets for myself and Ramiz Brahimaj. Lesson learned. Do not want any more action on that guy moving forward. Jamie Pickett versus Joseph Holmes. So the train started off good. Well, we were Brian Kelleher, TJ Brown. Now it starts to fall off the cliff a little bit. Court McGee was the first. Well, Brahimaj was the one that shit in the pie. And then Jamie Pickett, Joseph Holmes. Holmes was the least confident guy I had on the card. I mean, just the confidence level is not there. Did end up picking him, however, against Jamie Pickett. Now, a lot of friends of mine had touted Jamie Pickett as being potential dog of the week. You know, this guy should be able to go and win. He's got the savvy experience. I shouldn't say savvy. He's not like he's got deep experience, but he's already got 3 UFC fights. He's fought in the Contender Series. He's fought in better guys than this. So he's been there, done that. Holmes, meanwhile, did win in the Contender Series. Never got a contract out of it. Won one fight on the regional scene. Is taking this fight not on doesn't have tons of notice to prepare for it. Like, there was things working against him. I truly did believe if it stayed to the outside and it stayed a striking battle, he would be able to edge out that striking battle. First round kind of going that way. I mean, they didn't spend a lot of time in the clinch, too much time for my liking in the clinch, but he wasn't out of it. You know, it was 50-50 position in the clinch as far as I'm concerned. It's that when they would separate, the volume was coming from Holmes. I mean, he was able to land a couple decent body kicks, stay to the outside, land a couple jabs, just kind of volumed him. I think Fight Metric had it like 24-10 first round in favor of Joseph Holmes. Second round, he's tired, man. He just gets smothered up against the cage, and that's where the veteranship comes in for Pickett. Pickett's got a decent chin on him. Yeah, Jordan Wright knocked him out in a minute, but outside of that, only time he's actually been knocked out was that Jordan Wright fight. Outside of that, the guy's got some decent durability, and he just showed in his last fight against Staropoli, and these kind of fights that are just a will of attrition. He's in it. He can go 3 full rounds. You know, he can press you up against the cage as much as you can do it to him. He nullifies him in the second round, so we got a 1-1 going to third, anybody's fight. And I thought the third round maybe could have been going Joseph Holmes' favor, maybe ever so slightly. Then he gets taken down. And as soon as he got taken down, he ate a bunch of elbows to the side of the head, and that was it. Sealed the deal for Jamie Pickett. That's a victory. It is what it is.
This weekend, there will be a heavyweight bout between one of the sport's best knockout artists and an undefeated challenger. This will fly, which is great for you because new DraftKings Sportsbook customers can bet just $1 and win $100 in free bets if either fighter lands a punch. That's all it takes. One jab, cross, hook, uppercut, haymaker, or hammer fist, and the money is yours. The heavyweight title bout is scheduled for 5 rounds, and I can't imagine it goes the distance without a punch being landed. So bet just $1 on this no-brainer and win $100 in free bets. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code DOP. Throw down just $1 on the UFC 270 main event and win $100 in free bets if Ngannou or Gane land a punch. That's code DOP this Saturday at DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of UFC.
Bill Algeo versus Joannis Brito. This is another one, not so good. I will blame the read. The read wasn't as great. Honestly, with Bill Algeo, and again, Paul and I spoke about this on the previous show, is that he's got skills everywhere. Like, he can strike. He's got a BJJ black belt. It's just that his takedown defense is not good. His physicality is not that good. It doesn't seem like he's all that strong. He's got good cardio. He's got good output. But when we spoke about this now, when you're fighting at this level, you got to be able to stuff the takedowns. In the first round, Joannis Brito goes, presses him up against the cage, takes him down. Perfect. A little bit of work on top. You see Bill Algeo scramble to get back up. And then Brito just picks him up with like a giant slam. Here's where it's kind of actually like the beginning of the end for Joannis Brito. He picks Algeo up. Beautiful. Nice. Sweet. Instead of just laying him down for that takedown, he carries him across the ring, presumably to his own corner, then stops, then carries him to the center of the cage, then stops, then walks right back to the position he was just in by his corner and dumps him. It's a lot of wasted energy. And then that became the theme for him. Everything he started to do from that point forward was just all energy all the time. Like, he gets the back take. He tries to power on his back. He gets swept. He gets beat up a little bit on the ground. Powers his way back up. His striking revolves around just coming straight forward and slinging bombs. Algeo clipped him with a knee, just a straight knee right up the middle. It got his attention. You see, he kind of rocks his head back, but then he just reverts back to marching forward and swinging bombs. The second round, he wasn't as tired as I thought he was going to be, but it was a matter of time. And as he starts to fatigue and as he starts to slow down, his wrestling's all of a sudden not that good. And that strength advantage that he had in the first round, it's not there anymore. And that was Algeo's kryptonite. Be the stronger man. Power him to the ground. Not being strong because you're tired, not being able to complete the wrestling. Now you're going to have to stand with this guy. He's going to have superior output because he's a volume puncher and he's got good cardio. Algeo wins the second. Third round, I may have mixed up the Jamie Pickett, Joseph Holmes ones for Algeo Brito, but the third round was close. Like, you had Brito marching forward. He was the aggressor. He was letting his hands go. The striking numbers aren't that far off. Algeo's starting to tire as well. It's been a fairly hectic pace. He's on his back foot. His punches don't have any zap left on them, but then he gets the takedown with like 45 seconds left. Yeah, he was the one that landed just a series of solid elbows to the side of Brito's head. This is definitely an Algeo's round. Steals it. If there was a question, he steals it in the last minute for sure. Solidifies it, I guess I should say, and wins a 29-28 unanimous decision. So Bill Algeo's typically been my boy because he's got good cardio. He fights all the way through. It's just I'm so disappointed in his last performance, largely on this with 8 takedowns. Just gave them up like nothing. This one started out just like that. Oh man, here's Algeo going again. Who's got worse wrestling, Bill Algeo or Kevin Kroom or Charles Rosa? Ha ha ha. Like, those are the jokes that we're drumming up here. And cardio wins again. So if you're in shape and you can fight a full 15, you can expose these guys like Joannis Brito that, I don't know if it was nerves. Again, this is UFC debut. This is the bright lights. Dana White's over there. Like, I don't know what gets to these guys, but he just fought nervous and exerted way too much energy in the early going. And Bill Algeo was able to catch him late. Would have been a great live betting opportunity for Algeo because even they show those little tweets on the side of the corner. So, but that's just kind of what the internet's all thinking, right? It's a collective thought, is that everybody scored the round for Brito, but everyone was like, momentum's in Algeo's corner. So, this guy, pre-fight underdog, just lost the first round, but he's getting the ball rolling now. You could see the writing on the wall. Would have been a good live betting opportunity. Fortunately, I didn't pull the trigger on it. Vyacheslav Borshev versus Dakota Bush. We got Borshev here. He's a Team Alpha Male striking coach. Solid guy, clearly likes to strike. If he does have an issue, maybe it's his takedown defense. But again, the narrative coming in is that when you're the Team Alpha Male striking coach, it's not as if you're just striking all day long. You're working day-to-day basis with some of the best wrestlers in the sport. And a lot of guys that would emulate a Dakota Bush, guys that can take you down. But what you see in Borshev's game is he gets taken down. He's a serious problem. Dakota Bush, meanwhile, I thought taking a debut against Austin Hubbard on short notice in the UFC, he started out pretty good. He had a real good leg kick game to him. He moved pretty fluid on the feet, and then he just tires out and allows Hubbard to take over. He's got 3 pro losses, all 3 of them by decision. So, the guy doesn't have a durability issue, but it did seem like he had a cardio issue. You could chalk that up to him taking the fight on short notice, but now he's had a bit of a layoff. He's coming back full camp. Maybe people were considering Dakota Bush to have that wrestling advantage, that grappling advantage. Early on in this one, he puts it to good use. I mean, he gets the takedown over Borshev, but I really liked what I seen out of this guy right away. Just pushes the shoulders back, creates space, tries to get his feet, puts them on the hips, shoots you, pushes you up, creates. The first time he tries to crawl up, Dakota Bush is right back on him, but he just goes right back to the exact same thing. Get my feet on his hips, push him off, create space, get back up. He's able to create a scramble. That scramble briefly gives up his back, like Dakota Bush does end up on his back, but he just shakes him off. Bush is too high. Shake, shake, shake. Get him off. Now standing, Bush clips him, and when I watched it live, I remember it being oh, Borshev's chinny. Oh, Borshev's hurt. Oh, he's on skates. Oh, my God. And then he turned it around. Rewatching it again this morning, he's not that hurt, He kind of loses his equilibrium briefly. He's not as rocked as I remember him being. And you can see the whole time that he's rocked, he's still laser focused. He's still countering. He lands a nasty counter left that doesn't quite put Bush away, but gets his attention. And I think Bush is kind of similar to the Hubbard fight. He comes out hard for the first 3 minutes, and then he starts to peel back and fade away a little bit. And as soon as he peeled back and started to fade away, Borshev stood right in front of him, just started clubbing him. He landed 2 or 3 solid shots for that body, but for the liver shot, left hook to the body, just crumpled him over. But I wouldn't want to fight Borshev, man. I wouldn't want to fight any of these guys. What do I know? But this guy just comes at you like a madman. And what's his weakness? His takedown defense, take him down. But he works the entire time to get back up. Then when he does get back up, he comes at you. And he's got big power. He's chinny. Dakota Bush clipped him. Even when he was rocked, he's still chucking heavy leather. So he's a little bit older. He doesn't have a ton of MMA experience. He's only now 6-1. So I would say he's a little bit behind the 8 ball in terms of his overall growth potential and being a legitimate prospect. But again, this is a scary matchup for a lot of the guys in the division, and he's going to be able to go out there and cash a lot of 50K tickets based on just a really fun, appealing fight style and the potential to get finishes. So Borshev, man, solid stuff. Kayla Chikadze versus Jennifer Maia. Oh, and Dakota Bush, meanwhile, I just don't know what you do with him. Yeah, he'd be entertaining for 3 minutes, but he's not shown an ability to really fight outside of the first round, outside of the first few minutes, really. They've done him no real favors on a matchmaking standpoint. Austin Hubbard's not a slouch. Not great, but he's not a slouch. And then Borshev, did nobody else want to fight this guy? Probably not. But he unfortunately, gets to that fight. One, he got a headshot KO. It's not like he's got a massive concussion he's going to have to nurse for a little while. It's a body shot. You can go back to the drawing board and make some improvements, I guess. But I just think his overall game is very limited. Borshev advanced because he's already 30, 31 years old. He's 31 years old. But like a Chris Curtis, he could have some fine years in those later time because he's not your average 6-1 prospect. He's pretty advanced for that. Anyways, Kayla Chikadze versus Jennifer Maia. Kayla Chikadze, this is as good as it gets. She ends up being on the second line only because I'd like putting the main event on my top ticket to create the head-to-head opportunity. But Kayla Chikadze's otherwise your second most confident pick. We've already seen her fight Jennifer Maia, and it was pretty straightforward. She won the first 2 rounds. She's a better striker. She's faster. She controls the distance a lot better. Her wrestling, in my personal opinion, her wrestling and her jiu-jitsu is both better than Jennifer Maia's. But you did see her stuck on the bottom a little bit in that first time around. So I think that was a little bit of a narrative for some folk was if Maia ends up on top, Kayla Chikadze's kind of lost, just not strong enough to get back up, I guess, and she'll just give up round time, which is never something you want to do. But my boy Paul Shaughnessy, my man, he mentioned it, pretty much summed it up best when he broke down the fight on Wednesday. He was like, it's the rematch nobody asked for. And why did nobody ask for the rematch? Because it wasn't competitive the first time. It was very clear-cut, 29-28, and there's a good argument Kayla Chikadze's winning the third round before getting taken down, just being like, I've already won the fight. I'm just going to hang out here. Fair. So this time around, you want Kayla Chikadze. You also want the decision. I mean, she's minus 200 money line, but only minus 120 for the decision prop. She's a decision fighter. Jennifer Maia is very durable, and she's going to be able to probably take everything Kayla Chikadze's throwing at her. So you want to improve that by taking the decision. I just thought this one went pretty good. Could have gone bad, but it ended up being fine. In the first round, she's faster than Maya. I think she did a good job of landing the counter punches. Just stuffed the takedown attempts, controlled the space, just beat her to the punch, had the volume. She wins the first round. It wasn't like it was a absolute blowout first round, but I think we can all agree that she's won the first round. In the second round, Maya starts to find her distance a little bit. Like, she's coming forward, she's standing her ground well. And the issue with Katlyn Chikadze is that she lands really nice looking punches, really nice looking kicks, but none of it really results in a whole lot of damage. So you can land a beautiful counter, right? She landed a couple really nice counter punches that were just crisp, right on the money. And Jennifer Maya would just eat them and just walk right through them. So visually not that appealing. Meanwhile, Maya would club Katlyn Chikadze, and you see a cut open over Chikadze's right eye. That stuff kind of looks better for the judges. I'm a pessimist when I'm got money on something. I'm leaning towards Jennifer Maya in the second round. And then with 45 seconds side dive throw, it's there's a judo name, but in judo you're holding on to someone's lapel, man. You have a shirt sleeve so you can follow through. It's not a good move in MMA, especially in the second round when you're sweaty, especially in a round that you may have actually won. What a dumb bozo move that was. And she just right away gives up her back to Katlyn Chikadze, who spends the next 45 seconds. She was a little high, but she had a full back take for 45 seconds. Land a couple punches here and there. All it does is just secure that second round for Katlyn Chikadze. It could have been a 1-1 going into the third. Bad decision makes it a 2-0 going into the third. And then in the third, it would not have mattered. I thought that was Chikadze's best round. Maya starts to slow down. As she slows down, she's not really cutting off the ring. She's kind of just moving forward. She's not really throwing anything in return, and she's just following. And that really plays into Chikadze's hand because she wants to just counter, move, counter, stay to the outside. And she just really good third round. I thought it was her best third round. Takedown when you want it. I think she showed in this fight she was a better striker, a better wrestler, better grappler, better cardio, better ring IQ, better fighter. And we kind of knew that going in. And that ended up being the end result. So she wins by decision. That was kind of the only fight that really just went according to plan. We got picks right, sure, but Borshev, geez, maybe he did get rocked, and he gave a couple takedowns up. Brian Kelleher, first round, he kind of took it off a little bit. TJ Brown was kind of a walk in the park. I wasn't as high up on him, though. I second doubted myself. Katlyn, we knew she'd take care of business. She did take care of business. She hit the prop for us as well. Did her job. We are good. Brandon Royval versus Rogerio Bontorin. Royval's on the second ticket as well. What is that a little high? Yeah, could be. It was only a 10-fight card. Struggled to where's the real confidence at? And I thought that he has a much deeper gas tank. All these scrambles, all this movement is going to tire out Rogerio Bontorin. That'll be the difference maker. And this one was close, man. I would not have cried robbery if Bontorin got his hand raised. It ended up being a split decision for Brandon Royval. I think it really comes down to how you score that first round. Because in the first, it's close. It's competitive. I thought Royval was landing the better strike standing, but he gets taken down. As soon as he gets taken down, he starts throwing up submission attempts. He's trying to scramble. He's trying to lock something down. It's just Rogerio Bontorin is tight. He stays in side control for a good portion of that first round. Doesn't land one single strike. Doesn't look to advance his position. He is just chest to chest, very tight, not giving up any space, locking him down. Does that win you around? Does control win you around when there's no thought process? There's no attempt to land damage. There's no attempt to really improve your position. There's no attempt to, not that entertaining anybody is part of the scoring criteria. It's not. But at the end of the day, it's a fight. You're trying to score points. It's just bear hugging someone and holding them down. Is that scoring points? I don't know. But Royval landed some decent elbows off his back. He's trying to scramble. He's trying to throw up submission attempts. He did land the better striking standing. I got to think that Brandon Royval will win the first round. Just who the hell knows? Who the hell knows? So Royval's about a minus 165 pre-fight. And then I see he's a minus 110, at least on my book, after the first round. And I scored the first round for him. So I did hit the live bet on it. But also that led me to believe the bookmakers and other people score the first round for Bontorin. And could be. Here was my thing, is I expected Bontorin to now absolutely gas out because it was a hectic first round. And I'm just not sold on this guy's cardio. So in the second round, where I'm expecting him to tire out, he doesn't. He looked pretty okay in the second round. He gets the takedowns. The difference in that second round for me is that he would score the takedown, Royval would scramble to get back up to his feet, and then it would just be like another takedown. Or he would advance his position, not because he was trying to advance his position, because Royval would scramble and allow him to take his back. Royval would scramble and allow him to end up on, he never mounted him or anything, but he would allow positions to improve, not you trying to do anything. It's just your opponent's, he's got to open up his guard to get back up to his feet. He needs to open up his guard to throw up submission attempts. All of that allows you to pass. All of that looks good. And so I straight up got the second round scored for Rogerio Bontorin. Now here's the dilemma, is that the first round is a toss-up. It really is. I'm thinking it's Royval. Other people are thinking it could be Bontorin. The bookmakers, the fact that they dropped the line like that, I would have to think they thought it was Bontorin as well. The second round is definitely Bontorin. So if I'm down 2 rounds, and there's a possibility I'm down 2 rounds here, Royval needs to finish in the third round. Like, he needs to absolutely go for it. The third round is what I thought the second round would be. Royval comes out hot because he's got good cardio. Trains at altitude over in Colorado. Guy's solid. Guy can fight a full 15, a hard 15. I would suggest he can fight 25. He's not gonna, because he's not headlining anything anytime soon, but he's got deep cardio. Bontorin doesn't. Where I thought that would rear its ugly head in round 2, it did. In round 3, totally did. He's gassed. Now he's not even coming close to takedown attempts. Royval's all over him, striking. I mean, he's just beating him up. The thing is that he's leaving himself open to takedowns because he's getting over aggressive. Maybe he thinks he could be down 2. He either needs a finish or a 10-8 round, and he is going for it. It allows Bontorin to maybe ever so slightly try to get his grappling going, but I thought he was tired. And then finally you see Royval get the takedown on Bontorin. And in the first or second round, because I think Bisping might have speculated it, they were like, oh, makes you think, what if Royval just went for the takedowns earlier in the fight? I don't think he would have gotten them. You need to cook this guy. You need to tire this guy out. You need to get him huffing and puffing. And when he's tired, now you can take him down. And when you take him down, he's not going to scramble to get back up because he's tired. Third round's the most decisive round of the fight. It's Royval's. Oh, yeah. How could you in the armbar? So Bontorin very briefly ends up on top. You see Brandon Royval throw up a tight little armbar, and he leans up. Again, in real time, it looked like it was 2 touches. And I thought to myself, same thing, watching the TV. I was like, hey, it looked like a tap. But Royval never let go of the thing, right? It wasn't like he thought he tapped. He gave him the benefit of the doubt. Like, he hung on to the thing. Bontorin didn't look totally worried about it. He didn't look like he was panicking. And then when they later showed, because they showed the commentators the replay, Bisping, he sold that it was a tap. When they showed the replay after the fight to the fans, to the viewers at home, it was just one touch. He just touched it once. So you can argue, guys got you in an armbar. You're trying to figure out what you're going to do about it. Do I try to clear his leg? You touch the leg, and then you go back to doing something else. It wasn't like a touch. 2 taps, hey, that's a tap. 1 tap, I don't honestly think it was a tap. My Twitter thought it was a tap. A lot of people thought that the right man won because of that tap. I thought the right man won because that's how I had it scored. I thought Royval won the first round. I thought Royval won the third round. The third round wasn't a 10-8, but it was the best round of the fight. He ended it hard. And the third round to me was just an accumulation of how the fight was going. You had one guy fighting his balls off, going for it, throwing output, throwing damage, chopping him up with elbows, looking for submission attempts if he can. That's fighting. You're here to fight. That's what he's doing. The other guy is looking to hold on and kill the clock. And that's something that he had been doing largely throughout the whole fight. So who won the fight? Not who won this athletic competition with a couple numbers here and there. Who won the fight? Well, it was Brandon Royval. So yes, the right man did win. Jake Collier versus Chase Sherman. Coulda, shoulda, woulda gone everything. I should have gone heavy on Jake Collier. Nah, I mean, it was a shitty heavyweight fight. I told Paul the thing with Chase Sherman is he's just no good. He's not on the juice anymore. He hasn't been fighting particularly well. And he's been fighting a similar level to what Jake Collier brings to the table, right? Mid-range, non-athletic heavyweight, but has a solid enough chin and throws a ton of volume. Good cardio for this weight class. And he shows up like 20 pounds bigger than Chase Sherman. So he was going to be a prom right from the get-go. It's just I didn't necessarily think it was going to happen that fast and that decisively. Like I'll give Jake Collier one thing. That was kind of a signature victory for him, considering Chase Sherman's fought decent guys, right? Not great guys by any stretch, but his last 2 fights, Parker Porter and Andrei Arlovsky, he went the distance. He went a 5-round decision against the bare knuckle boxing champion of the world, Joey Beltran. His first run in the UFC, once upon a time, I guess he's never really fought really high-end guys, but just the guys he's fought, no one's ever just ran right through him like that. Normally you wait until he tires a little bit. Normally it's a rock'em sock'em robot matchup for 3 to 5 minutes. He lands a couple good shots, you land a couple good shots, maybe you can wilt him. No one's ever just dominated him pillar to post that easy. Jake Collier, man, for real. So I released 5 props, and to be honest, so I put out TJ Brown by decision plus 120, hit, we're good. Brian Kelleher decision plus 200, we good. I blew it on a Ramiz Brahimaj decision, so we're 2-1. We hit back with Caitlin Chikadze. I wanted to put Jake Collier by decision, right? Paul and I talked about on the show, plus 150, not quite enough. Then I thought, why not just put fight go the distance? And the last minute, I thought, you know what? It's heavyweights. The other decisions I like on the card, we're cool with that. We're going to roll with that. Don't need this heavyweight one. The second that fight started, thank God, because you knew there is no way this thing's going the distance. Mind you, Chase Sherman throws lots of volume, and he's more of a decision guy. Jake Collier, he throws volume all the time, and he's a decision guy. He had it in his mind, this ain't going past 2 rounds, and it wasn't. He got in his face. He threw caution to the wind. He hit Sherman with a couple really heavy shots standing. As soon as he took him down, just right to full mount. And then right from full mount, did I mention there was a 20-pound advantage for Collier? Because there was. And he put it to good use. He was just heavy in full mount. Chase Sherman was not going to get him off. And the problem was there was like 3.5 minutes left on the clock. Like, who in the right mind is going to have 265-pound Jake Collier in a full mount for 3.5 minutes? Well, you had better be good at jiu-jitsu, which Chase Sherman is not. And so, yeah, beat up. Eventually, what are you going to do? Full mount. You have no other option other than turn and give up your back. So he took his only option, and when he gave up his back, Collier sunk in the choke. It's amazing to me because Collier was not a good middleweight, and then he takes all this time off. He skips 205 altogether. He shows up as a giant, awful-looking heavyweight, and then rightfully so, gets smoked out by Tom Aspinall in less than a minute. You know, it was a joke. Look at this big fat joke. He's literally a meme on the internet. They book him for a second fight, and it's like people are just salivating at an opportunity to fade this guy, but shows up, not bad. In this fight here, it's like I wanted to love him. I wanted to, but even me, I thought, it's Jake Collier. You going to top ticket him? No. You going to second ticket him? I would really rather not. So he slides down the rankings, but shit, man, like appearance is not everything. You can't judge a book by its cover. And in this case, Jake Collier, even at the weigh-ins, like I wanted to believe in him. When I saw the weigh-ins, I was like, no, I'm not going to believe in him. He looked good, dude. He looked good, as best as he ever has. So here's where we're sitting. So our top ticket, because we'd like to include that main event, is got Giga Chikadze, and he's along with Brian Kelleher. So we're looking at not quite even money, but it's like minus 111. So paying a little bit of juice on there. But okay. That second ticket has Caitlin Chikadze and Brandon Royval. Now that's paying over 3-1, plus 330. So we're going to hit a plus 330 and our even money on the top ticket. The props went 3 of 5, but the 3 that hit were all plus money, including the plus 200 Brian Kelleher. So props are at a slight profit. You can hedge out here and take your slight profit as well. I just didn't. It's the first event of the year. I got some bankroll. Cashed out last year's bankroll. We're good. Start with a new one. Yeah. If I lose here on Giga Chikadze, he's a top ticket. The PRP's already been dead, but I mean the parlays are all dead. The props are at a slight profit, right? So it's not a terrible night. I just wanted to go for it. I don't know. And I knew the price wasn't great in Giga Chikadze. Would have been an easy hedge on Calvin, but I don't know. I thought I had the big boy balls on. It's the first event of the year, having some fun. Picks haven't been terrible. Props haven't been terrible. Why not let this one ride and see how it goes out? Bankroll management, because this is a season-long thing, right? We're going to be betting 52 UFC cards this year. Wow, what is there? 48 scheduled? 48 UFC cards this year. And then on top of that, Bellator, PFL, Contender Series is coming back. Invicta's on. LFA is on. A lot of opportunities. Just grind up. This would have been an easy opportunity. Calvin Kattar, right? Good plus money tag next to him. I just didn't, and so that's the mistake that I got to pay for, and I did pay for it. I mentioned on the previous show that if Calvin was to lose the first 2 rounds but hang around, be a good live betting opportunity. The thing is that he won the first round, and then so right away that took it off the table. It's just like now he's the favorite, and it only built from there. I'm actually surprised that after 2, they only had Calvin Kattar at minus 340 on the live market, because after 2, you just knew it was going Kattar's way. I mean, his cardio was on point. He showed up to weigh-ins. He looked like a beast. Like physically, this is as good a shape as a male human being could get to. Like this guy's cut up. And he fought cut up. He was ready to go. He was ready to go 25 minutes. You know his durability is solid because Max Holloway hit him with everything, including the kitchen sink, and he stood up to it. What was Giga going to do that Max hadn't done to him? He was ready to go 25. I just thought maybe if he drops a round or 2, you can get an even better plus money tag. It'd be worth it. In this case, after 2 rounds, he still looked fresh. Giga was half crumpled over, just puffing. And yeah, I'm surprised 340 was the price I was offered. I think it was 7-1 after the 4th round, and then in the 5th round, again, this is Calvin Kattar pillar to post. The few things that maybe went wrong for him is that when you're fighting an elite level guy like Giga, you're not going to get hit. That first round, he eats a couple decent body shots. Obviously the Giga kick is on display. That left high, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. He can go to the body, he can go to the head. It's that as soon as he slipped on that high kick, okay, you can see. It's almost as if Giga thinks Calvin wants to have a striking battle exclusively, with Calvin's geared up to do that. But in a gentleman manner, as soon as he slips on it, he's real lackadaisical standing back up. And Calvin just showcases massive ring IQ. The second he saw Giga fell down, his brain was wired to be like, golden opportunity. He takes a golden opportunity, and he gets an easy takedown out of it. I wouldn't say easy. Picked him up and slammed him. Looked like it took some work. But as soon as he got on top, I mean, that's the rest of the first round. On the second round, you got a more tired Giga. You just banked a first round. Confidence is going. And yeah, Giga wasn't throwing enough volume. The shots that he did throw were good, and he landed some decent shots on Calvin for sure. But Calvin did exactly to Giga what Max had done to him. He backed him up, he landed volume, and he just beat him up pillar to post. Now, here's the one problem I got. Low key, I had it over 3.5, and a fight goes the distance. Whatever. I didn't hedge out of the main event, but that was kind of my way of having some action on the main event regardless, right? If Giga's going to blow this for me, he's not getting knocked out in the first couple rounds. Over 3.5, fight goes the distance. Okay, I could see it. Giga earned my respect, not because he's an elite level fighter, because I think he got exposed here, but because most human beings wouldn't go through that. He had ample opportunity to quit. He was tired in the second round, and it did not get better. He's gassed the entire way. It seemed like Calvin could just put the foot on the gas a little bit more and take this guy out of there. But he fought back. His face was a mess. His body was giving out on him. He had zero path to victory here, and he took that beating. And whereas Calvin earned a lot of people's respect by taking that beating, how do you come back from that? You can't. Calvin looked as good as he ever has. Giga needed to take that beating to show that he could. The chips are down. Are you going to quit? Or are you here for the long haul? And he showed it. And now he's going to have to come back in his next fight. And it's going to be difficult because he hadn't lost in MMA in a while. And this was a devastating beating. You see the pictures at the hospital. It's like, oh my God. Calvin's face, if you saw that guy on a public bus, he'd just be like, I don't know. Maybe he smacked it. I don't know. I don't even know if you would question if anything happened to him. If you saw Giga on a public bus sitting like that, you'd call the cops. You'd be like, dude, this guy just got jumped by 5 men. His face is trashed. Solid stuff. So for Giga, he's not a well-known grappler, and they gave him a striker. They didn't go the route of, here's somebody that's going to take you down and expose you. They tried to give him a fight that played to his strong suit. And a guy fought him right in his strong suit and beat him exactly at that. Now, what if a guy decides, I want to take him down? He's got holes in his game. He's not the best striker in the division, and his grappling is going to be a massive flaw. And this is his first time fighting 5 rounds, and his cardio, in my opinion, failed him in the second. So, yeah, outside of heart and a good chin, tough night at the office for Giga Chikadze. In terms of Calvin Kattar, this is good stuff, man. This is Jake Collier-esque in the sense that your last fight, you're a bum. Not in Collier. Collier would be 2 fights ago. You're a bum. Oh, I can't believe I picked Calvin over Max Holloway. I was sold on this guy. He does have good technical boxing. When you get exposed like that, it shows you that there's levels. Calvin just not at that level. Now he's got to take on a guy like Giga that people are claiming could be next level. this puts you back on the map in a huge way. And he did exactly that. So yeah, it's a shitty way to end up the main event. Would love for Giga to hit, and I let it ride, and I look like the genius, and we hit the top 2 tickets, and we hit, our props came out positive. This is a great start to 2022. I let it ride. And just like always, you learn lessons, right? We learn more about Giga. We learn more about Calvin. And it was a fun main event regardless. So all we can do is jump back on the horse. I think we got a Bellator coming up as well. And we've got a much larger UFC 270 card that has some really nice looking spots on it. So anyways, stay tuned for the Dogger Pass preview show this Wednesday with Paul and I. And yeah, hopefully you guys came out of this one profitable, or at the very least, not too banged up, and had some fun watching the fights overall. I will catch you the next time. Best of luck. Oh, oh, oh.